He failed the entrance exam, twice. The Zurich Polytechnic looked at his application and said no, not good enough, not what we're looking for. Come back when you're ready, maybe. Albert Einstein, the name that would redefine reality itself. Rejected. But here's what they didn't see. While other students memorized formulas and regurgitated answers, Einstein was doing something dangerous. He was thinking, actually thinking. And schools hate that. His teachers called him lazy, disruptive. One professor told him he'd never amount to anything, said he should drop out, stop wasting everyone's time. Einstein sat in those classrooms watching other students get praised for giving the right answers, and he knew something was off, because he didn't have the right answers. He had questions. The Swiss Federal Polytechnic wanted students who could follow instructions. Einstein wanted to know why the instructions existed in the first place, so he failed. If you've ever felt like you don't fit the mold, hit subscribe. This story gets wilder. Most people think Einstein was born a genius, that he came out of the womb understanding relativity. Not even close. He didn't speak until he was 4 years old. His parents thought something was wrong with him. Teachers thought he was slow, and maybe he was slow. Slow to accept things that didn't make sense. At Luitpold Gymnasium in Munich, the teaching style was rigid, militaristic almost. Students stood when the teacher entered, answered in unison, memorized without questioning. Einstein hated it. He'd sit there staring out the window and teachers would snap at him. Pay attention. But he was paying attention, just not to them. He was thinking about light, about time, about space. Questions that had nothing to do with whatever was on the chalkboard. One teacher, Heinrich Weber, told him directly, "You're a smart boy, Einstein, but you have one great fault. You never let yourself be told anything." And you know what? Weber was right. Einstein didn't let himself be told anything, because being told meant accepting without understanding. And Einstein's brain didn't work that way. He needed to see it, feel it, reconstruct it from the ground up until it made sense to him. His classmates thought he was arrogant. His teachers thought he was stubborn. But Einstein was just honest. If something didn't make sense, he said so. If a formula seemed arbitrary, he questioned it. And in a system built on authority, questioning authority is the worst thing you can do. So at 15, he left. Dropped out of Luitpold Gymnasium entirely. Walked away from the structure, the rules, the suffocating certainty that everyone else seemed so comfortable with. Moved to Italy with his family. And for a while he just existed. Read books, thought, wandered. No structure, no grades. No one telling him he was doing it wrong. But society doesn't let you just exist. You need credentials, certificates, proof that you're legitimate. So Einstein decided to try again. Applied to the Zurich Polytechnic, one of the best technical schools in Europe. This was his shot. If he could get in, he'd have a real future. Access to labs, professors, resources. Everything a young physicist could want. He took the entrance exam. He failed. Not just barely failed. He bombed the humanities section. Literature, languages, biology. None of it clicked. The questions felt pointless to him. Why memorize dates and names when you could understand principles? Why regurgitate facts when you could discover new ones? But here's the thing. His math and physics scores were off the charts. So high that the school noticed. They told him, "Come back next year. Finish your secondary education properly, then reapply." So he did. Went to a cantonal school in Aarau, Switzerland. And this place was different. The teachers actually listened. They encouraged debate, asked why instead of just what. Let students disagree with them. Let students think. For the first time in his life, Einstein wasn't fighting the system. He was working within it, and he thrived. His grades improved. His confidence grew. He started believing that maybe, just maybe, he could make it. He reapplied to Zurich Polytechnic. Got in, finally. But even then, nothing came easy. He wasn't the star student. He skipped lectures because he found them boring. Didn't show up to labs because he was reading ahead, studying things the curriculum hadn't covered yet. Professors hated him. One, the same Heinrich Weber who'd taught him before, called him a lazy dog. Another refused to give him a recommendation letter after graduation, which basically destroyed his chances of getting an academic job. Think about that for a second. Einstein graduates from one of the best technical schools in Europe and he can't get a job. Not at a university, not at a research institution, not even at a high school. The doors were closed. The academic world had looked at him and said, "Not for us." If you're enjoying this, smash that like button and subscribe. We're just getting to the good part. So what does Einstein do? He takes a job at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. A desk job, third-class examiner. His job was to review patent applications for electromagnetic devices and figure out if they'd actually work. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't what he'd dreamed of, but it paid the bills. And here's where the story gets interesting, because while everyone else thought Einstein was wasting his potential, buried in bureaucracy, something else was happening. He had time to think without pressure. No professors breathing down his neck, no exams to study for, no academic politics to navigate. Just 8 hours a day reviewing patents, then going home to work on his own ideas. The patent office became his laboratory, not a physical one, but a mental one. He'd sit at his desk, process applications, and in the gaps between tasks, he'd think about light, about motion, about the nature of time itself. And in 1905, while still working that desk job, while the academic world had completely forgotten about him, he published 4 papers. 4 papers that didn't just advance physics. They rewrote it. The first paper explained the photoelectric effect, proving that light behaves as both a wave and a particle. This would later win him the Nobel Prize. The second paper proved the existence of atoms by analyzing Brownian motion, settling a debate that had raged for decades. The third paper introduced special relativity, showing that time and space aren't absolute but relative to the observer. And the fourth paper, just a footnote to the third, gave us the most famous equation in history, EMC2, all in 1 year, while working at a patent office, while being ignored by academia. The schools that rejected him, they made one of the biggest mistakes in history. But maybe it wasn't a mistake, maybe it was exactly what needed to happen. Because if Einstein had fit into the system, if he'd been embraced by academia from the start, would he have had the freedom to think so radically? Or would he have been shaped, molded, pressured into thinking like everyone else? Rejection gave him something the system never could. It gave him independence, the freedom to fail without an audience, the space to explore ideas that seemed crazy without worrying about tenure or reputation or what his colleagues thought. Years later, when reporters asked him about his school years, about the teachers who doubted him, Einstein didn't hold grudges. He just smiled and said, "It is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education." That line hits different when you know the story. The very thing that makes someone great, curiosity, original thought, the refusal to accept things just because someone said so, that's exactly what schools tried to beat out of him, and they almost succeeded. Here's what keeps me up at night. How many Einsteins are sitting in classrooms right now being told they're not good enough? How many kids are failing tests not because they're dumb, but because they think differently? How many people gave up on their ideas because a teacher, a parent, a system told them no? Einstein's story isn't just about one guy who proved everyone wrong. It's about what happens when you refuse to let other people define your potential. When you stop asking for permission and start creating anyway. The patent office gave him a paycheck. Rejection gave him freedom. But Einstein gave himself something no institution ever could. He gave himself permission to be wrong, to explore, to question everything, even the things everyone else had already accepted as truth. And that's what changed everything. So if you've ever been told you're not smart enough, not focused enough, not good enough, subscribe right now. Leave a comment telling me what you're working on, even if no one believes in it yet, because Einstein didn't need permission to rewrite physics, and you don't need permission either. Next video, we're diving into what Einstein actually discovered in those 4 papers, why they matter, and why most people still don't really understand relativity. It's going to blow your mind. But here's my question for you, and I want you to really think about this. What would you create if you knew rejection didn't mean failure? If every no, every closed door, every doubt was just noise, what would you build?